Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Functional Strength with Temo and Mr. Amos Temo. Today, we decided that the topic for today should be deadlifts. The reason we decided to do that is because if you go to a big box gym, you will realize that when the gym is packed to full capacity, and the deadlift where people do deadlifts is packed, people tend to stand in queues waiting for the person or who's doing the deadlift to finish before, in order for them to use the bar. So we decided, let's do an episode where we can advise you on doing different kinds of variations of that movement instead of spending 5 minutes or more waiting to do a deadlift, when you have somebody who's probably supersetting with three other movements on the deadlift rack. So I wanted us to speak about that. Mr. Ntlego, what is your history with deadlifts? Because I have seen you do them a lot of times.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. So deadlift is one of the most compound, well, not most, is one of the compound exercises which is good for building muscles and also to improve your sports performance if you are a person who's an athlete, or just anyone who wants to improve their strength or grow muscles. Any gym goer can do deadlifts. But before we touch base on deadlifts, I would like us to quickly look at, just get my notes here, look at equipments that we can use for deadlifts. So okay. We'll start off with the equipment, and then we'll move over to the anatomy so that people can get to understand why they're doing deadlifts, what muscle groups are they working, and how is the body benefiting from the deadlifts. Because in most cases, people just do exercises because they saw someone doing it, or they see someone doing it, or they see someone looking like in a certain way. They think, if I'm doing this exercise, I'm going to look like that person. Not knowing that that person, maybe that person is following a specific program, and that person is following a specific eating plan for them to look a certain way. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people have seen, your strongest men.
Yeah.
Strongest men, and they don't have six packs.
No. Yeah. And they tend to come into a box gym, a normal gym, and you see them packing up a lot of weights.
Yeah, dude, those guys, they go to the gym. They don't have time to waste. They don't have time to mess around. They get in and get out, and they train hard. I'm not saying other people are not training hard, but I've seen some of those guys. They crazy. They're in their own space of a mindset. I don't know if that makes sense.
Is it, for guys who don't know, it's those guys who pull trucks also, or is there a different
those guys, they pull trucks, they deadlift heavy, they do one arm press very heavy, they carry heavy,
even the bench, ne?
Yeah, I can't remember what. There's just something that they carry like over 60 kgs. It looks like a ball.
That ball, that strongman ball.
What with that thing, dude?
I see.
Yeah, that thing weighs over 60 kgs. If you drop that thing on your foot,
screwed.
You are stuffed. The end of your feet.
True.
Yeah, broken toes. I don't know what else. Yeah, so let's just start off with the equipment. So most people get to the gym, deadlift platform, like you mentioned. They want to queue for that one guy who's supersetting between deadlifts, maybe with shoulder presses, and wasting other people's time. Supersetting is actually not good if you go to the gym during peak hour. Please superset when the gym is quiet, because when you superset peak hour, you are being selfish.
Yeah, Person leaves their
I
cell
think-
phone there also on the.
Yeah, I think another thing that we'll talk about, not today in one of our episodes, the gym ethics.
Okay.
We need to touch on that, but okay, today we're not doing gym ethics. So while you're waiting for someone to finish supersetting or deadlifting, and you're wasting your time as well. Yeah, and we must also understand that it's not only people that are supersetting. If you are focusing on training strength, obviously your resting period is going to be longer.
Yeah.
And it's not that you're being selfish with the bar and the platform, but your resting period is going to be longer. Because if you're deadlifting, for example, over 100 kgs, you need at least 3 minutes of rest, especially if your focus it's purely strength, because you need longer time to recover and give your muscles a break before you can perform your following set. So now the good thing is that you don't have to wait. There are very different equipment that you can use for deadlifts. Number one, you can use dumbbells to do deadlifts. I know some people will think, oh yeah, but deadlifting with the dumbbell can sort of create some muscle imbalance. Obviously, with the dumbbell, the challenge is you won't be able to go as heavy as you would with versus the bar.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you've noticed that as soon as you start going heavy using the bar, the grip changes. You know, when you're still doing your warm-up, you're more on an overhand grip. And when you start going heavy, it helps to change the grip over and under grip. Okay. However, that tends to create some sort of muscle imbalance unless you are able to swap your heads, which sometimes it's very hard.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sometimes you forget.
No, not necessarily forget, but
Yeah.
Personally, over under grip for me, I don't know, maybe my mind is set to it. I always have my right hand over grip, my left hand under grip.
Yeah, it's a habit.
And I feel comfortable. I've tried to change the grips, to vary the grips, maybe have the left over the bar and the right under the bar. Dude, I couldn't.
Yeah, yeah.
I think my mind is locked on right hand over, left hand under.
Yeah,
Okay, so the advantage of the dumbbell deadlifts is that you don't have to wait for someone to finish. Okay, the disadvantage is that you won't be able to lift heavy with the dumbbells. Okay, and the next equipment that you can use is kettlebells. Kettlebells, they're similar to your dumbbells. It's going to be challenging for you to be able to do to go heavy on your deadlifts when you're using kettlebells. However, the other advantage of the dumbbells and the kettlebells, when you're performing single leg deadlifts, I know we're not on the variations yet. We're going to do the variations shortly. However, I just needed to mention this. However, if your focus is also trying to improve your core strength, your balance, as it is when you do your deadlifts, you are working on your core strength. However, you can push it further by doing single leg deadlifts, where one leg remains on the floor and the other leg is off the ground. So that challenges your core strength more than anything. Okay. You're still getting the same benefits of performing deadlifts. The only difference is that now your core strength is challenged more than when you would do your normal straight bar deadlifts. Okay, and then number 3, which we've already talked about, we've already mentioned, it's the bar. You can use the bar for deadlifts. And I'm not going to talk too much about the bar. The next one is the trap bar. We've seen it like with most private gyms, they're slowly improving on, well, not necessarily improving, but bring certain equipment that we haven't seen before, one of them being a trap bar. The nice thing about the trap bar, which I found, is that for a person who has never done deadlifts before, it sort of creates that elevation of the ground, and it becomes easy to teach the deadlift form and technique, because the bar is slightly higher and you've got the plates which pushes the bar slightly higher as well. Okay, so not the bar, the grip is slightly higher as opposed to the normal bar, straight bar.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, before we jump into the variations of the deadlifts,
would you say before you could continue, Bramos, that even things like a band, using bands, resistant bands, one can perform a deadlift, even though you won't do mine.
How did I miss that?
For a person who has stolen bands from you, that was supposed to be number one on the list.
Hey, dude, I'm getting old. I forget some of the information that I've taught, which is bad. Yes. And then, which, you just mentioned an equipment that's very important. Yeah. And it's less utilized, the resistant band.
Yeah. Especially now more than ever.
It will help you to learn a lot of things, a lot of exercises without actually compensating on the form and the technique, and also not hurting yourself. You can also use the resistant band just to perform the warm-up for your deadlifts. True. It gets your body ready for the deadlifts before you actually use the kettlebell, the dumbbells, the bar, or the trap bar. However, if you don't have access to those other equipment, you can use the resistant band. And the resistant band comes, you get different strength as well on the resistant band. So nothing stops you from starting with the lighter band as a warm-up and progress to the next band to start your training for deadlifts. And I mean, for variations in terms of combining the different equipment, which I use it for some of the sports performance exercises. Like, for example, if I wanna do speed training for deadlifts, like to move my hips very fast, I would attach the resistant band onto my feet, hook it onto the bar. Obviously, the plates will be slightly lighter so that I can deadlift very fast, because your focus is on, you want to improve speed, power and speed. So you've got the load with the bands, but your movement, it's a bit fast, not extremely fast. Yeah. It's fast and still controlled. Because the important thing is that when you train for speed or power, your movements need to be controlled, and your focus should be on quality over quantity. So you want to make sure that your movements are quality and they're controlled. You're not just like, I just want to do 20 of these. Even if you do 5 reps, it makes a huge difference. It's okay, because your focus is to improve your speed, and while you're working on improving your speed, you want quality at the same time, because you want to avoid injuries.
Yeah, I think there's been this misconception that in order to build muscle, you need to do 20 reps or 15 reps. Where else science has proven that even if you are just doing 5 reps or 10 reps or just 12 or more than, it doesn't really matter how many reps you are doing, you are still going to build muscle. But if your goal is to get stronger, you will have to put up more weights on the bar or whatever piece of equipment that you are using, and go for the heaviest lift that you can go for. So usually what I've seen with strength training is that people go for 5x5, 4x3, just to see where their strength where their strength is. So people can look into that. But if your goal is to build muscle, you are looking at hypertrophy. So doesn't matter if the rep is 6 or 8, as long as the what do they say? Form before intensity. So before you intensify your workout, doing make sure that your form is right. So I think sometime, a lot of topic ideas are coming up as we talk. So, but we will talk
Yes,
about.
I've actually written down that we need to talk about rep ranges.
Yeah.
What is the difference when you perform 5
Yeah.
reps versus 10 reps?
Yeah.
And
So
also, at what percentage of your 1 RM are you performing these exercises? Which goes back to what you just mentioned now, that people think, oh yeah, if I lift lightweight, I won't build muscles. Yes, as long as you're pushing an object or lifting weights or using resistant bands, you will build muscles. However, it'll be different in terms of hypertrophy training. If you're doing hypertrophy training and you want to build like big muscles, obviously then you will do your rep range between 8 to 12 at, let's say, between 65 to about 85 or of your 1 hour. So I think when we focus on the topic of rep ranges, we'll also include the 1 RM and also just teach people what is a 1 RM. How do you get to know what is your 1 RM? Obviously, for a person to be able to do their 1 RM, they need a certified, I always say this, certified professional trainer to show you how to get to your 1 RM. Okay, because these days everyone is is a trainer, everyone is this and that and that. I'm not gonna go into that.
Yeah.
However, a professional trainer that has been taught all these things that we're talking about now, they'll be able to help you safely to get to your 1 RM.
Yeah. And not everybody has to get there. I don't think you really have to get there. But if you want to, and if it's your goal,
Look, if you want to, if your program says, okay, week 1 you're gonna train at 60% of your 1 RM, week 2 65% of your 1 RM, then you need to get to understand what is a 1 RM and how do you get to 1 RM. Because for you to improve on your strength, for example, or for you to keep pushing or growing in terms of your hypertrophy, you need to know your 1 RM so that when you increase the weights, you know exactly what percentage are you lifting at. I mean, like you just mentioned now, that sometimes some people will focus on 5 by 5. I mean, 5 by 5, dude, you gotta be pushing very heavy, not child's play. You can't get to the gym and squat 20 kgs and like, oh, I'm gonna do 5 by 5. You play. 2 weeks ago, I was doing 5 by 5. It's not a child's play.
I wonder how you felt the next day.
Funny enough, I was okay. I don't know. I think I need to push more. I mean, I was squatting 120 kgs, 5 sets. I'm still 5. So it just shows you that I'm still playing. I need to push more. Maybe 140, 160.
Okay. I think we should pivot.
Just a quick anatomy on deadlifts. So these are some of the, well, not some, the multiple muscle groups that are targeted when you are performing deadlifts. So the first one are your hamstrings, which is the back part of your leg. Your glutes, most of people refer to them as the butt. Okay, so when you're doing your deadlifts, not only you are working your hamstrings, your glutes are also engaged. Your lower back is also engaged. And that big joint, which is mostly, well, not mostly, which all the time is involved when you're doing deadlifts, is your hips. That's why deadlifts, if you want to grow your muscles, you want to improve your strength, do deadlifts. Okay, and then the next one is your core strength. So if your core strength is not up to scratch, it's going to be hard for you to perform the deadlifts properly with the correct form and technique. And the last one is your traps. It's the last muscle group which gets involved when you're performing your deadlifts. Okay, so let us look at the most common deadlift variation, people that perform at the gym, the conventional deadlift. Okay, so you're still targeting all the same muscle groups. It's just that I just want to get to my notes here. It's just that your stance will always be neutral. So your conventional, it's closer to your Romanian deadlifts. Okay, so those are the first two variations that I've mentioned. Now you get the next one is, I've seen it lately. Okay, before that one, the common one which I also see, it's the stiff leg deadlift. So most people who are focusing on improving their growing their butt and working their hamstring, they'll perform that one, the stiff leg deadlift. Okay. However, with the stiff leg deadlift, you want to make sure that you are performing the exercise correctly, because if you don't do it right, you might irritate the sciatic nerve. You might put pressure on the sciatic nerve, which will cause problems for you. So that's why it's important to perform any form of exercise correctly. Okay, and if you don't know how to do the exercise correctly, get a professional trainer. Even if, sometimes people think you have to spend lots of money to get certain things, to achieve certain part of your fitness. Sometimes you can just say to your trainer, listen, my training is not too bad. I just want to learn 1, 2, 3 exercises. For example, you can say, can you help me to improve on my squat, my deadlifts? I mean, you spend 4 weeks or 8 weeks with the trainer. You go to a trainer maybe twice a week, 8 weeks. You just focus on that with your trainer. Yeah, not it doesn't have to be like a big financial burden to learn certain things from a trainer. Yeah, so we need to teach people that as well. I know some people cannot. It's hard for them to push on their own.
Yeah.
Then they will obviously invest on a trainer for a longer period, like for a year or 2 years. Some of them a lifetime.
Yeah. You get people who stay with you for a long time. I think that goes beyond training. It's the relationship part that you guys develop. Anyway, continue, Bramos.
Yeah, I mean, that relation with your client, it always remains professional, and there's always a boundary. You can't cross a certain line. Your client cannot cross a certain line. I mean, if you build that relationship, it lasts longer.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. So I mean, if you remember that last week when on our first episode we're chatting about why trainers fail, is because they cross certain boundaries which they shouldn't cross. Yeah, I mean, earlier when we were chatting, me and you, I showed you this one picture of this trainer doing a funny thing. I don't know what was thinking. I mean, yeah, things like that. No. Okay, so just back to the topic. Okay, the next one is the trap bar. So the trap bar, obviously, you will use the trap bar to perform the deadlift, and nothing too special. But like I said, for someone who has never done deadlifts before, I mean, you can use the broomstick to teach them how to do deadlifts. And the trap bar also, I find it very easy when it comes to teaching.
Yeah.
Versus the bar. The bar is a very bit tricky for some clients who have never done the deadlift before. And another one which I find working to teach a client, because it sort of elevate the plates and the bar off the floor, is when you're using the block pulls
Okay.
For deadlifts.
Yeah.
So what it does is like it's like the bar sits on a platform.
Yeah.
But when the client goes down, they don't go too low, and they're able to align their chest over the bar. So that's another way of teaching your client on how to perform deadlifts, especially if they've never done them before.
Yeah.
And another one, it's a deficit. Okay, the deficit deadlift, where you standing on a platform, so your body slightly, it's more elevated off the ground. So when you pick up the bar, the range is slightly, it's longer. Okay, not sure if longer is the right way.
Is it high?
Yeah, because it's high. So
who's higher, you or
grab,
the bar is high, or the client is high?
So the bar is low.
Okay.
Because the plates are sitting on the ground.
Okay.
The step is slightly raised, so the height of the step is slightly high.
Okay.
It also places you on a higher position, which it makes it difficult.
Yeah. Okay, I see it.
So it's more of a challenging one.
Okay. I see it.
And the next one is a single leg deadlift, which we've already spoke about. There you're focusing on balancing yourself as you do the deadlift. Okay, and with the single leg deadlifts, it's very hard to lift it very heavy on a single deadlift. So I would always advise that when you perform single leg deadlifts, use a lighter weight, medium weight, so that you can get your core strength in check and your balance as well. So it's a good exercise for athletes who are looking at improving their core strength, muscle performance as well. I mean, you can also add in a bit of a twist to it. If you are training an athlete who wants to improve his core strength, you take the Swiss ball while they're performing the single leg deadlifts. You keep throwing the ball against the client, especially on the leg that's on the ground. That dude, it's another way of training your athlete on how to improve their core strength while they're moving or while they're performing a specific exercise. Okay. Another one, it's the snatch grip deadlift. So the snatch grip, it's similar to how you grip the bar when you perform the snatches.
Yeah.
So your hands are slightly wider. Okay. And the last one, it's the sumo deadlifts. I see now lately the sumo deadlift has become famous, especially on Instagram.
Even I see a lot of women are also starting to go into that direction of doing a lot of sumo deadlifts and moving away from the traditional way of doing deadlifts, which is fun. Which I like the idea that women are now starting to want to become stronger, and they are not afraid to lift weights than before. Because a lot of women tend to think that if I lift weights, I'm going to look like Temo,
look like a man.
Look like a man, which will never be the case unless if you are taking some kind of thing where you are injecting yourself and we do not see you. Apart from that, you have absolutely nothing to worry about. Your body was not made to turn into a male figure. It was not made.
I always say that to women. I'm like, you are not producing the same amount of testosterone levels that I produce. You're producing more estrogens versus me. There's no way you will look like a man unless you are going to go and take anabolic steroids.
Yep.
Or go and inject yourself with more testosterone, which is going to be a health hazard to you as a woman if you go and do that. I mean, we've seen some women that look like men. It's none of our business. We can't say anything. They have their reasons why they do it, but it's not healthy. So I mean, me and you always do our best to teach people that focus on healthy things, focus on things that will improve your well-being, being mental strength, being physical strength. There's a word that you like to use is called, what is it? Score?
Longevity.
Longevity.
Longevity,
Yes.
mindset, spirituality, all those stuff all together. So yeah.
Yeah, all those things are like, it's like you are a package, you know, and they work together, those things. If one is missing, it becomes a challenge. So we always do our best to teach our clients, to teach our fitness enthusiasts, people that follow us, that find balance. I mean, yes, we also sometimes struggle to find balance, but we keep on learning, we keep on finding ways to balance things in our lives.
Yeah. So Bramos, we spoke about the different kinds of equipment that can be used, and we also focused on the movements that can be done with when doing a deadlift. I think the most important part is for people who are still training from home and have a kettlebell or a dumbbell or some bands. There is definitely a lot you can do for your posterior chain using those things if you are looking to do a deadlift. I think the best way to start off is if you have a kettlebell, I think you're gonna win a lot. There's so much that you can do with that thing if you are looking to do some deadlifts with it, especially the unilateral stuff, the single leg stuff. That is awesome. They should try and do some of those. If you got like the dumbbell, there's the dumbbell and the kettlebell are almost the same. So either you want to do like a split squat, a split deadlift, where your legs are split, you can always do that. You can go. That's a nice way of going single leg, I think, also. So you will definitely win with that also. The challenging one has always been the stiff leg. I don't know. With a stiff leg, it's just that you cannot go that heavy. I've tried.
Yeah, no, stiff leg, I've also tested it before. I find that sometimes, well, I've done it a couple of times. So and then I regressed to a lighter weight, and I could feel the difference. I find that it's sort of pulling onto it's sort of like inviting the sciatic nerve problem when you go heavy, when you're doing stiff leg deadlifts. Because I find that at some point I could feel this funny pain on my lower back, and it shoots to my bum and my hamstrings.
Okay.
So I agree with you there, because I've tested it. Unless someone comes up and say, no, I do it this way and I can go heavy, and we can put that to test. But I mean, for now, I haven't picked up another method of performing heavy when it comes to stiff leg deadlifts. I've also tried using the landmine for stiff leg deadlifts. I find it works perfect.
Yeah, actually, that's another great variation, the landmine.
Variation, yes, the landmine. Yeah. And I've also find that as soon as you slightly elevate your feet, it sort of takes off pressure on the sciatic nerve. And another thing I just wanted to mention when you were talking about the kettlebell, because it has some similarity on some of the exercise of the muscles that are involved when you do the kettlebell swing versus the deadlifts. For people that have kettlebells at home, I totally agree with you. It's a win-win, because there's so many exercises that you can do for your posterior chain using the kettlebell. Not only the deadlifts. I mean, yes, you do get your quads engaged when you're doing your kettlebell swing, but the focus is more your posterior chain, not so much on your anterior chain. Well, guys, when we talk about posterior is back, and then anterior is front of the body. So we mustn't confuse you there with with our language.
We are trying to impress you. Trying to impress.
Yeah, so, and another thing is that when you are performing your deadlifts, you can attach the band. Either you're using kettlebells or using the dumbbells or trap bar or normal bar. You know, there's so many variations that you can use for the deadlifts when you're attaching the band, and there's so much benefits that you can achieve by doing different variations of your deadlift.
Sure. Okay, guys. So functional strength can be found on YouTube, on Spotify, on iTunes. The links are up on the show notes. Check them out. You can find Amos Ntleko on Instagram at 365 Functional Training. And you can find me, Temo, at Temo_FHD on Instagram. So you can follow us there if you need any kind of assistance. Thank you.